Thank you so much for the invitation to present the company I work for, Patagonia, and our commitment to sustainability. We make clothes for outdoor sports. We are still privately owned, and we are still run by our original founder, Yvon Chouinard, who you see holding the hammer in his hand. And despite his name, Yvon is not French, but rather French-Canadian. He was born in Maine, the state of Maine, but moved to California when he was only 8 years old. So he doesn't speak any more French than I do. And thank you all so much for your indulgence, allowing me to make the presentation to you this afternoon in French. Well, Yvon started the company making equipment by hand for mountain climbers, pitons, carabiners, ice axes. Soon he also began to make clothing, shirts and pants for rock climbers and mountaineers. But the business was then, and it still is, inspired by our commitment to these sports. All of us in the company are surfers or climbers, skiers, and in the case of Yvon himself, one of the greatest climbers in American mountaineering history, having made many first ascents of the big walls in Yosemite, but most importantly for his own future and for our company was the experience of making the third ascent of Fitzroy in Patagonia, the place, at the south tip of South America. And that mountain, Fitzroy, the highest peak in the range, became the origin of our logo. The high peak in the logo is Fitzroy, and the name Patagonia was inspired by that original trip over 40 years ago that he made to that region in South America. That's where our mission statement comes from. It comes from the inspiration we received by spending so much time in the wild places in the world. And the mission, as you see, is to make the best product we can, to make it causing no unnecessary harm to the environment or to the societies where we do business, and finally to use our business to implement solutions to the environmental crisis. So let's examine the mission one part at a time, beginning with our commitment to make the best product we can. Because whether you're riding the biggest waves in Hawaii or climbing the most difficult peaks in the French Alps, your life depends on the quality of your commitment. So we have to make that commitment to our customers. But our customers, in turn, most of them, also expect us to make that equipment with no unnecessary harm to the environment, with the least possible footprint we can. And how do we do that? Well, let's look at a few ways, beginning with our commitment to use only 100% organically grown cotton in our clothes. And cotton that in turn is watered with rainfall instead of unsustainably irrigated from rivers or from aquifers. In the case of our down products, we source our down only from suppliers who neither live pluck nor force feed the geese. And this requires us to know thoroughly our supply chain, every single step. And as you can see from this illustration, that's very, very complex and difficult to do, but it's the only way we can guarantee we are causing no unnecessary harm, in this case to geese. But perhaps one of the coolest programs we have is with our sheep suppliers who give us the wool for our clothes. And in this case, we've partnered with sheep ranchers in Patagonia, the place, in the southern end of South America, where over the generations, most of the ranchers have raised sheep unsustainably, causing much harm to the grasslands, which have been degraded by erosion and desertification, as you can see on one side of the fence in this photograph. But on the other side is one of our partners raising his sheep in a way that rotates the sheep so that it allows the grass to continue to grow, both for the sheep and for the wildlife that inhabit those grasslands. And we pay those ranchers a premium for these techniques. And in turn, we promote them to our customers. And when they buy one of our products made from wool, they know they're investing not just in a sweater, but rather in sustainable grasslands. Now that leads us to our third commitment, to use our business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. One way we do that is to try and influence other businesses to follow our lead. And one of the most unusual but also most successful examples of that effort is a coalition that we started 4 years ago, and it began with a very unlikely pairing of what then was the biggest company in the world, Walmart, with one of the smallest companies in the world, Patagonia. When we invited Walmart to partner with us to in turn invite other apparel, clothing, and footwear companies into a coalition where together we would try and reduce our footprints. And they accepted this invitation, so I said, great, let's code name the effort David and Goliath. Well, they got together in a little meeting. They whispered to each other, and then they said, okay, we accept with one condition. And I was ready for them to impose some qualification that would scuttle the idea before it even started. And they said the condition is that you are Goliath and we are David. And I said, well, whatever, let's just get it done. So the first video, please, if I may. The first video shows the letter that we sent to the CEOs of 10 other companies. May I have the letter, please? Oh, there it is. Thank you, it's not here. Let me read from that. We asked them to attend a meeting where, quoting from the letter, we expect to achieve consensus on the need for a universally accepted approach for measuring apparel sector sustainability and to establish a strategy for ongoing collaboration to create and implement that standard. Well, we began with a mix of companies. There were NGOs, there were academic institutions, there were universities joined in this coalition. We had suppliers, we had brands, we had, thank you, we had, right from the beginning, a mix of companies. We had suppliers, we had brands, we had retailers, we had NGOs, we had universities, we even had some government agencies. In the end, as of now, we have over 150 companies in this group, and collectively, they represent over 1/3 of the entire supply apparel and footwear sector on planet Earth, and we're soon approaching the halfway mark. Think of it this way. Within a year, no matter what city you're in the world, as you walk down the street, every other person you see will be wearing clothes or shoes made from a company that's in this coalition. And together, we have developed a suite of tools to measure our footprint and using that measurement to manage that impact. There's tools that measure the impact of products, tools that measure the footprint of facilities and retail locations, tools that measure the environmental impact of materials. We've just created a video for suppliers to explain to them how they can use this Higg index in their facilities in the supply chain. So let me share that with you now. On to the next video, if I may.
Fair labor and environmentally responsible practices are now standard expectations of a modern factory, right up there with quality, price, and delivery. Brands expect it of themselves and their supply chain, and consumers and stakeholders expect it of brands and retailers. Traditionally, audits have been the standard way of enforcing these expectations, but we've learned that simply catching sustainability violations doesn't bring change. We see these same violations repeating year after year. To make progress, factories need to manage their own sustainability performance. They need to know how to spot issues, put procedures in place to manage them, and then share their progress with their customers. Now we've created a tool to help. We're the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. We're made up of brands, retailers, manufacturers, and organizations who have spent decades managing social and environmental performance. We've identified all the key indicators for both factories and their customers and organized them into a simple self-assessment questionnaire. We call it the Higg Index suite of tools. By completing the Higg Index, you'll learn where to focus your efforts in managing social and environmental performance. And at the click of a button, you'll be able to share your results with any of your customers. The Higg Index is now the standard reporting tool, already used by over a third of the apparel, footwear, and home textiles industry, and it's eliminating the need for duplicative self-assessments.
So that's where we're at with the Apparel Coalition, but there are other sectors of consumer goods that are starting to talk to us. I've had many conversations with companies in the health and beauty sector. I've had conversations with companies in electronics, toys, many other sectors who are interested in following our lead. And this brings up the possibility that someday, working together, we may be able to make the Higg Index facing the consumer. And the next video, please. Now, the vision is that as you go into a store and you scan a product with your phone, that you would be able to read through the Higg Index the complete environmental and social labor impact of that product and see its entire supply chain. Now, we know that here in Europe, there's a similar effort going on to make the environmental impacts of consumer goods evident on labels, and we're working very closely with the EU. We have a team in Brussels who is working daily with them, and we're also working closely here in France with your Grenelle Dual law, which many of you may know about. And all of these efforts are actually well overdue. We have to move as fast as we can because we are currently using 1.5 times the resources of the Earth. And in America, our company is very aware that in our country, we're actually using 7 times the amount of resources on an annual basis that the Earth can return. So we also realize that we must partner with our customers if we're going to really reduce these impacts. Doing it alone won't reach the goal. And in that way, we have created a partnership with our customers to mutually reduce impacts called Common Threads, where we have a partnership. We have this Common Threads partnership, where, as you can see, we've organized it under the 4 Rs of reduce, repair, and reuse and recycle, where the customers have their responsibilities and the company has their responsibilities under each R. The most controversial of these Rs is the last one, the reduce, because there on our side, we commit to make the best product we can and to make a product that you can use for more than one thing, a product that allows you to reduce your personal footprint. But the real controversy is on your side, because we ask our customers to think twice about whether they even need a new product in the first place. And on Black Friday, which in the United States is in November, it's the biggest shopping day in the year. It begins the Christmas season. We ran a full-page ad in the New York Times with a picture of our best-selling jacket and the headline, "Don't buy this jacket." It was a shock on purpose to drive people to reading the copy in the ad, because there we explained that despite all our efforts at sustainability, despite the regenerative wool, the organic cotton, the carefully sourced down. All the indicators of our business are going in the wrong direction. And those aren't indicators of our profit or of our growth or of our revenue. Rather, they are the indicators of the health of our planet. Those are the key performance indicators, and they're all going in the wrong direction. Pick any of them. Greenhouse gas emissions, desertification, deforestation, eutrophication of fresh water, extinction of species. Every indicator is going in the wrong direction despite all our sustainability efforts. And the ad said that the reason is our consumption. That on an annual basis, with our population growing, our affluence is also growing. 1.5%, 2.5%, 3% per year compounded, and it's completely unsustainable. But our company continues to grow, so we've been charged with hypocrisy. How can we grow and still advocate for reduced consumption? Our own answer is that we provide our customers with products to allow them to reduce their footprint. The best product you can make that will last as long as possible, that you can repair and reuse and then recycle. If other companies follow our model, we feel that collectively there can be a solution. But we also feel that the models of other companies probably don't have a future in an economy where we must reduce consumption. And we at Patagonia aren't sure what the answer is to what this new economy will look like exactly. We also don't believe that any of you out there, anyone at this conference, really knows the answer to that question either. But what you've heard here from other speakers are pieces of the answer. You've heard each of them give a part of it. And collectively, we know that all those parts have to come together, that all of us must work together collaboratively to find the solution to what that new economy, that positive economy, looks like. So from those of us in the United States and from our team here in Europe, thank you very much.